Hi guys, welcome to this video of Van Gogh to Play-Doh. So before we get started, parents, this is a message to you. We are going to be using two materials today in this video, and they are rhythm sticks. Now of course you can use any substitute for rhythm sticks. If you go into your kitchen and you have two wooden spoons, you can use that to make music, but that is one activity that we are going to be doing. So if you want to pause this video and gather those materials, and then we'll get started. Okay, so we are going to be talking about this beautiful painting called Trifloria. Now hopefully you've seen the other two videos where Jane showed us how some art makes us want to move our legs. And Jamie showed us how some art makes us want to move our arms with those washerwomen. But now we're going to be talking about this painting, and we're going to be moving a different kind of body part. When you look at this painting, do you know what body part you're moving? Can you tell? Okay, if you need a hint, we're going to be moving our eyes today. We move our eyes all around this canvas. But why is that? Why are we moving our eyes back and forth when we didn't necessarily do that with Jane or Jaylee's? Now the answer to that is because this beautiful piece is covered in patterns. Now, if you need a reminder, a pattern is a shape that happens over and over and over again. So for example, this woman down here, she's wearing a shirt with all these polka dots on them. And those polka dots happen over and over again. So that's an example of a pattern. So I want you to see if you can find any other patterns in this piece and point them out, okay? Now, I'm going to point out a few. So some of my favorite patterns in this painting happen to be the paisley pattern in the background. If you see that oval with the fun detailing, swirly detailing around the edge. We also have a diamond-shaped pattern, and that's over in the background, and it kind of happens in these stripes. Now the third pattern that I want to point out is this one right here. It's kind of like a star pattern. Okay, so we've pointed out a couple different patterns in this painting, and maybe you found a few that are different than what I pointed out, in which case that's amazing. But did you know that we can find patterns in music as well as art? Okay, so one pattern in music is when we clap or beat out a rhythm. So for example, that rhythm is an example of a pattern. And we hear those claps happen over and over again. And it's the same thing. So what I want you to do is at the beginning of this video, your parents should have helped you find a couple materials. So I have these two sticks with me right now. And what we're going to do is we're going to make our own pattern in music. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to beat these sticks twice, and then I'm going to turn the time over to you for you to beat your two sticks twice as well. And we'll count out the beats, okay? So for example, I'm going to do 1, 2, and then on your end, you're going to beat out 3, 4. Okay, are you ready? 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay, that was so great, guys. That is an example of how we can find patterns in music. But now we're actually going to do some fun artwork that goes with our discussion all about patterns. Hi guys, welcome to the second video in which we are talking about Trifloria. Now we're going to be diving into the artwork that we're going to make along with this piece. So right now I have this example up, And this is actually a piece of paper with all these different pattern texture rubbings. So parents, this might be a good time to pause the video after I describe the different materials that you're going to need. I have right here a simplified version of what I'm going to make. This is a printer-sized sheet of blank paper, unlike this one, which is a little bit bigger, and it is split up into 4 equal parts instead of 6. So this should be a little bit easier to get your hands on. Along with that piece of paper, I have 4 different equal sections of construction paper. I have 2 in green and 2 in pink. Now, we do recommend that you only use 2 colors of construction paper because that way you also make a pattern with the colors that you put on this paper. So here you can see that we're just going to fit them like that. Just like that. Okay, now along with the blank sheet of paper and your cut up construction paper, we also have our 4 textures that we're going to rub onto those construction papers. So now this is where it might be a little bit tricky, but we have glued different objects on foam core just to make it a little bit easier to use. This example shows paper clips. This one is popsicle sticks that we cut up and then placed in a fun pattern. This is Velcro stickers, those little dot stickers. And then the last example is this piece of wood. Now, the grain of the wood is actually going to show up really nicely on our construction paper, and so that's why we're using this. So, like I said, that's probably the most difficult part about making this artwork, but you are more than welcome to walk around the house or the yard with your child and see if you can come up with something at home. Right now that it's springtime, a really good thing to utilize is the leaves outside on the trees. You can actually take those and glue them down, and that is another way that you can make a fun pattern with the veins of the leaves showing up. Now, the other 2 materials you're going to need is just a simple glue stick, and then either a white or black crayon. I have a black one right here, and the paper has been taken off just so that I can use the long edge to rub, and that will create a more even pattern. Okay, so like I said, you are more than welcome to go ahead and pause the video and gather those materials for this. Okay, so hopefully you've been able to find the things you're going to be using along with me, and I'm actually just going to go ahead and start. So I'm going to take my blank sheet of paper and just set it down in front of me, and like I said, it's been split into 4 equal parts, and then I'm going to take my first color, which I've decided to be pink, and I'm going to place it on top of my pattern. And now I'm just going to use my black crayon, and I'm going to rub my construction paper. I'm going to rub the crayon all over it so that the pattern of the wood shows up. So let me show you. So I'm going to hold the piece of paper down, and I'm just rubbing really hard, and I'm holding the paper in place so that the pattern shows up really well. And this is why we like to use the long end of the crayon, because it makes this process go a little bit faster. Okay, so that's the example that I have with the wood. Now, what I'm going to do next is I'm going to grab my glue stick, and I'm just going to glue the back of it. Just add a little bit to all the corners, maybe a little in the middle, and I'm going to push it down onto my paper. Now kids, make sure you really push it down so that it sticks well to the piece of paper. Okay, so that's the first example that I have. Next, I'm going to be taking this piece of green construction paper, and I'm going to be using a whole different pattern. So for this one, I'm going to use these fun Velcro dots that we've put on this board. And just like the pink, I'm going to stick the green piece of paper down right on top. I'm going to take my crayon and I'm going to rub really hard. Make sure I get all those lovely dots on my green piece of paper. I want it to be pretty dark so that people can see this fun pattern. Okay, so that's the second example. And just like the first, I'm going to take a little bit of glue, and on the opposite side, I'm going to glue the edge of the piece of paper. And now I'm just going to stick it right next to that pink sheet. Okay, so now we've got something that looks like this. So we've got two patterns next to each other. And we're going to do the same thing over again. And I'm going to be using pink. And I will use this pattern that I've made with popsicle sticks. So I'm going to take this pink sheet of paper, place it on top. By this point, you guys are pros, I'm sure. And I'm going to rub that. And if you need help keeping your paper in place, I'm sure your parents are more than happy to help you make sure that your paper is steady on that pattern. Whoops. Okay. Okay, so that's our third pattern. Gonna add a little bit of glue. And we're gonna place that underneath the green color. So at the very end, not only are we going to have a paper full of patterns, but the color itself is going to be a pattern because it goes green, pink, green, pink, green, pink. Kind of like those polka dots, which happen polka dot after polka dot after polka dot. Okay, so we're going to do our last pattern on this green piece of paper. And we have paper clips that we've glued down. So, just like before, I'm going to rub this and see what fun design I can get out of this pattern. Okay, it looks like it's showing up pretty nicely. So that's what it came out to be. Now I'm going to put glue on the back of this as well. Okay. We're going to push really hard. We're going to rub it. Make sure that all those edges are down and stay flat. Okay, so you might think that we're done, but I want you to do one last thing. I want you to sign your name because you just created something beautiful and you are the artist, and artists sign their work. So go ahead and sign your name, just like that. And you can hold it any way, but this is an example of how we make patterns, how we can make patterns in our artwork, just like how the artist made Trifloria. So I hope you enjoyed creating this artwork with me today, and stay tuned for more videos. Thank you so much, guys. See you later.